Have you ever woken up feeling exhausted even after a full night's sleep? You look in the mirror and see a face that is resting, but behind the eyes there is a storm that never settles. We are taught to take care of our bodies, to eat right, to exercise, but nobody taught us how to fight the war that happens in silence. Right now, as you listen to this, you are likely carrying a weight you cannot explain to anyone else. It is not just stress, it is not just anxiety, it is the unseen battle. Welcome to Lumen Peace, where today we are going to uncover the invisible mechanics of your spirit and reveal why you feel drained and, more importantly, how to recharge a battery that isn't physical. The truth is, we walk through life thinking that our battles are against our boss, our bills, or the traffic, but those are just the symptoms. The real battle is happening in a dimension you cannot see with your eyes, but you certainly feel with your soul. Every doubt, every fear, and every moment of despair is an attack on your inner fortress. You are fighting a war for your peace, and for a long time, you have been fighting it unarmed. You have been trying to solve spiritual problems with physical solutions, and that is why the tiredness never goes away. Prayer is not what you think it is. It is not just a list of wishes you recite to the sky. It is a sophisticated, ancient technology designed to shield you in the heat of this invisible combat. When you ignore this connection, you are like a soldier walking onto a battlefield without armor. You absorb every blow, every negative energy, and every worry until you collapse. But there is a way to turn the tide. There is a way to stand in the middle of chaos and remain completely untouched, like the eye of a hurricane. To understand this, we have to stop looking at prayer as a religious ritual and start seeing it as the ultimate survival strategy for the human soul. Before we go any further, I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt safe? Not just comfortable, but safe. Hold that thought, because what happens to your mind when you finally let go is not just poetic, it is biologically transforming. But to get there, you have to understand who the enemy actually is. The enemy we spoke of is not a monster under the bed, nor is it the difficult people you encounter in your daily life. The true enemy is the relentless noise that occupies the space between your ears. It is the constant static hum of anxiety that tells you that you need to be in control of everything all the time. This is the unseen battle, the struggle between the peace your soul craves and the chaos your mind generates. We live in a world that is addicted to noise and distraction. From the moment you wake up, you are bombarded with information, demands, and expectations. This overstimulation keeps your brain in a permanent state of high alert, a biological fight or flight mode that was never meant to be sustained for this long. You are burning fuel just to stand still. When you are in this state, your inner strength is being siphoned off. You react rather than respond. You survive rather than thrive. This is where the concept of prayer begins to shift from a religious obligation to a vital source of power. If the enemy is noise, then prayer is the signal. It is the act of tuning out the static frequency of the world and tuning into the clear, calm frequency of the divine. When you close your eyes and retreat into that sacred space, you are effectively cutting the power cord to the chaos. You are stopping the drain. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about anchoring yourself in a reality that is higher and more stable than your changing circumstances. Think of a deep-sea diver. On the surface, the waves are crashing, the wind is howling, and the water is turbulent. But as the diver descends, the noise fades. The deeper they go, the quieter it becomes, until they reach a point of absolute stillness. Prayer is your descent. It is the vehicle that takes you from the storm on the surface to the silence of the deep. In that silence, you are not weak. You are gathering the kind of strength that the world cannot give you. You are reconnecting with the source of your existence. But here is where most people get it wrong. They try to bring the noise down with them. They use prayer time to worry, to list their complaints, to beg for the storm to stop. But true power comes when you stop talking to the storm and start listening to the silence. Something happens to your physiology when you finally achieve this connection. Your heart rate slows, your cortisol drops, and your perspective shifts. You stop fighting the waves and you start breathing underwater. But how do you maintain this when the pressure is crushing you? How do you keep the signal clear when the whole world is screaming? There is a specific mechanism, a turning point where the struggle ends and the flow begins, and you might be missing the most crucial key to unlocking it. The key that unlocks this mechanism is a word that our modern world misunderstands completely: surrender. In the unseen battle, we assume that victory comes from fighting harder, pushing more, and controlling every variable. But in the spiritual realm, the physics are reversed. To win the war for your peace, you must first surrender the illusion that you are the general of the universe. The exhaustion you feel, that deep, bone-weary tiredness, comes from trying to carry the weight of the world on shoulders that were only designed to carry your own being. When you enter into prayer, you are not admitting defeat, you are admitting reality. You are acknowledging that there is a force greater than you, and for the first time in your day, you are allowing that force to take the wheel. Think of your spirit like a rechargeable battery. Every worry, every argument, every stressor is an application running in the background, draining your energy bar down to the red zone. Most of us are walking around with 1% battery left, frantically trying to dim the screen to make it through the day. We try to fix this by sleeping more or drinking coffee, but you cannot fix a spiritual drain with a physical remedy. Prayer is the act of plugging in to the source. It is the only time you stop expending energy and start receiving it. This is how prayer fuels inner peace, not by removing the problems, but by refilling the person facing them. When you truly connect, the dynamic of the battle shifts. You are no longer a lone soldier surrounded by enemies. You become a conduit of infinite strength. The fear that paralyzed you begins to evaporate, not because the danger is gone, but because your perspective has elevated above it. You begin to see your struggles not as mountains that block your path, but as training grounds that build your character. The silence we spoke of in the deep ocean is not empty, it is charged, it is electric with potential. In that stillness, you exchange your panic for power. You trade your limited, fragile human perspective for a divine, enduring vision. However, even with this knowledge, many of us fail to plug in. We sit in silence, we say the words, but we feel nothing. We feel like we are talking to the ceiling. We feel abandoned in the quiet. Why does this happen? Why do some prayers feel like fire while others feel like cold ash? There is a specific barrier, a hidden wall within your own heart that blocks the flow of this power, and until you identify it, you will remain drained.
The barrier standing between you and the peace you deserve is not silence from above. It is the noise of your own expectations. The wall that blocks the flow of power is made of your own conditions. We often approach prayer like a negotiation. I will be at peace if this problem is solved, or I will trust when I see the answer. But this conditional mindset acts like a dam in a river. It stops the current before it can ever reach you. The power of prayer does not come from bending the universe to your will. It comes from aligning your will with a greater purpose. The reason you feel nothing is often because you are still holding on to the outcome. You are asking for peace while secretly planning how to panic if things don't go your way. Imagine trying to pour water into a cup that is already full of stones. The water spills over. Nothing is retained. Your mind is that cup, filled with the stones of what if, but, and maybe. To receive the strength that fuels inner peace, you must first empty the cup. This is the hardest battle of all because it requires you to stand naked before the unknown. It requires you to open your hands. You cannot receive a blessing with a clenched fist. As long as you are gripping your problems tight, terrified to let them drop, you have no room to catch the solution. The moment you truly open your hands, spiritually and emotionally, the dam breaks. When this happens, the change is palpable. You stop being a thermometer that just reflects the temperature of the room, rising and falling with every piece of bad news. Instead, you become the thermostat. You set the temperature. You walk into a chaotic room and you don't absorb the stress, you radiate peace. This is the strength we promised at the start. It is not a loud, aggressive force. It is a quiet, unshakable confidence. It is the ability to look at a storm and say, "This will not break me." People will notice. They will look at you and wonder how you are standing so tall when everything around you is shaking. They will see a light in you that wasn't there before. You have learned to recognize the enemy. You have tuned out the noise, and you have opened your hands to receive the fuel. But there is one final piece to this puzzle. There is a specific action that seals this piece into your DNA, ensuring that it doesn't just last for 5 minutes after you say amen, but stays with you through the darkest nights. Without this final step, the battery drains again. With it, you become unstoppable. The final step, the action that locks this newfound power into your very being, is gratitude. But not the gratitude you are used to. We are taught to be grateful after we receive a gift, after the problem is solved, after the storm passes. That is easy. Anyone can do that. The spiritual warrior, the one who wins the unseen battle, practices gratitude before the victory is visible. This is the seal. When you close your prayer, instead of returning to worry, you thank the divine for the strength you have received, even if your external circumstances haven't changed by a single inch yet. This act of advanced gratitude tells your brain and your spirit that the transaction is complete. You have plugged in, you have surrendered, and now you are trusting that the power is flowing. This is how you walk back into the world without losing your peace. You walk with the quiet assurance of someone who knows the outcome. The battles will still come, the noise will try to return, the waves will crash against the boat, but now you have an anchor. You know that the peace you feel is not fragile. It is fueled by a source that never runs dry. You are no longer fighting for victory. You are fighting from a place of victory. The exhaustion that plagued you is replaced by a resilient, burning endurance. You have armor now. You have the shield of faith and the weapon of silence. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world, only the light of your own spirit. As you go about your day today, remember this: the unseen battle is real, but so is the unseen help. You are never fighting alone. The silence is always there, waiting for you to return to it, waiting to refill you, waiting to remind you of who you truly are. You are not the chaos. You are the calm in the center of it. You are the lumen. If this message resonated with your spirit today, if you felt a layer of that heavy weight lift off your shoulders, I invite you to leave a like on this video. It helps us spread this light to others who are still fighting in the dark. And if you want to continue this journey of inner strength and peace, click that subscribe button and join our community here at Lumen Peace. We are walking this path together, one prayer, one moment of silence, one victory at a time. Go in peace and let your light shine.